cubic foot of water. I may have this backwards. It might be 1 million gallons a day is 1.5 cubic feet of water. So imagine this twice, moving down the stream, and that's 1 million gallons a day pumping out of a well too. You multiply it out. So it's not a lot of water. Okay, so now that I got you kind of with a perspective of what we're talking about, that's why the 7 million didn't even make sense.
Right.
Because even then, no community, even Middletown or Newburgh, uses anywhere near 7 million gallons a day. If they use 3 million gallons a day, it's a lot. That's for the whole city, okay? Okay, so now your question was, the Mountainville well.
Well, it's more of a comment. I
Okay.
mean, it has to affect the Woodbury Creek because Cornwall is going to be drawing down a good amount and KJ has the potential of drawing down 700,000. It has to affect the Woodbury Creek.
You're right. But then the DEC's job is to figure out how much.
But they're apparently not doing their job.
Well, the judge apparently thought so, right?
And not to mention the fact that, what did they put in for that approved, an 18-inch water main?
Different
And
approval.
building a
Different
24?
approval. Anyway, we could go like a whole presentation on that, so we'll come back sometime. Yes, sir.
Alright, so you talked about how the groundwater can move through things such as sand and clay. What does that mean for things such as like microplastics? Could that be transported through groundwater?
Yeah, especially in a gravel layer. Microplastics are a lot smaller than the gravel space layer. Sand, I don't know, it depends on, under sand and all sorts of stuff. Clay, definitely not. Silt, probably not. Okay, but yeah, it's, there's all sorts of stuff that could be traveling through here, Prozac, microplastics, what kind of stuff? Yes, ma'am.
Are microplastics those beads that are in facial scrubs and body?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talk, I'll get off the subject, there's a lot of talk about pharmaceuticals in the water. They are really, really hard to remove. Most sewage treatment plants are not equipped to remove them because the bugs, sewage treatment plants are just bacteria farms, okay? And those bugs are really good for normal waste, but when you get into some higher order organic chemicals, they don't do the job. You really need some serious, peroxide, straight bleach, potassium permanganate, oxidizing agents to break down the pharmaceuticals.
Or you can engineer the bugs.
Or you can engineer the bugs. We're getting into a whole nother description.
We'll talk about that, Toby.
So Fran had her hand up and then you.
You've made the comment about 700,000 gallons a day and whatever the municipal utility on the water is. I'm just curious, so if they're using 700,000 gallons a day, what is the rate of replenishment? Do you know how it's going to be replenished and how much is, before there's no more water?
Okay, in Village of Curious Shoal, right there.
Yep.
See all the circles?
Yep.
It's all the wells. Okay. Village of Curious Joel is in the Ramapo watershed. All that water goes to Jersey.
So they're tapping into that water from Jersey.
No, they're discharging that water to Jersey.
They're giving
They're
that water
taking the
to...
water from the Muga watershed, which is part of the...
Are they selling it to Jersey?
What?
They're selling it to Jersey.
No.
No, it's just going.
That water
Traveling.
goes in,
The river that flows
I
through...
wouldn't put it past them, but...
The river that flows out of... If you know your southern Orange County geography, there's a lake called Round Lake south of the village of Monroe. That is the source of the Ramapo River. It goes through the goose ponds in Monroe, and then down kind of behind the houses, down through the village of Harriman, past the Sewer District No. 1 sewage treatment plant, and it receives a bunch of effluent from that sewage plant. And that sewage plant receives a bunch of sewage from District 1, which includes Village of Monroe, Village of Harriman, Village of Curious Shoal, chunks of the town of Monroe, and then the South Moodna water South Buda Basin Group, Chester, the rest of the town of Monroe, Blooming Grove, all those folks are in the Muda watershed, but they send their sewage up the hill and down to Harriman. And KJ does that too. So if KJ takes water out of the Woodbury Creek, they'll be putting the water back in the Ramapo River. Make sense?
After it's been used.
After it's been used.
Yeah, after it's been used, right.
No, they have to expand, they're working to, right, they're working to expand Harriman on the water. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we got a big problem also because of the salt content.
The chicken plant generates a lot of salt in the sewage. You can't, sewage treatment plants can't take salt out. Only distillation or reverse osmosis can get salt out of water, salt ions out of water. So basically remember the old adage, the solution to pollution is dilution? There you go. Okay. Two more, okay, here. Yes, ma'am.
This is a comment that this lady who asked an elementary question. If you would be trying to sip iced tea full of ice, you will not be able to do it unless you have atmospheric pressure, which pushes the surface of the iced tea down. So atmospheric pressure has something to do how pumps work.
Yes, and if your straw is more than 32 feet, it doesn't work either, right?
Right.
Okay, ma'am.
So all this, so somebody said salt, all the salt that goes on the roads when they plow, and all the salt that goes on the
Bingo.
driveway, that's all in our water, isn't it?
Yes.
All the salt that goes on the roads and all the salt that you put on your driveway goes in your water. Groundwater, heat surface water. And do you have a comment about salt?
I was wondering, there's a reed bed in the town of Lloyd that's used part of sewage or wastewater treatment. Has there been much research on what it can break down? Can a reed bed break down pharmaceuticals?
The reed beds aren't doing the treating. It's all the bacteria that inhabit the root zone of the reed beds that are doing the treating. And I don't know all but typical sewage, there's enough different bugs and bacteria in there that they'll break down what's in the sewage. That's all. It's kind of like the septic system, only on the surface and bigger. Okay, let's talk about salt a minute. Okay, so remember I put my my water in here. I think if I just put a little, I'm gonna restart my rain here, get my recharge going. Now if I put some red, see if red will work. I'm gonna put some red here in my, can you see that? See it here?
Yeah.
Salt, right? So it's, I can't even see it that well. It's working its way. I need more. I need more, a lot more. Okay. Okay, see it coming down?
Yeah,
It snows.
So, yes, the salt gets wet, snow melts, it's got to go somewhere. Salt is at its, it's fundamental breakdown. The ions are there. You can't break sodium down any finer. You can't break chloride down any finer. You can attach it to stuff and maybe get it out, but it's pretty esoteric. So basically it gets in the ground, and there's the Carey Institute over in Millbrook doing a lot of work on road salt. A lot of data over the years, and it's just going up, up, up. All those chlorides are just going up, up, up in the groundwater. And it's Lake Hawthorne on the top of the mountain going to Port Jervis. All that salt from '84 wrecked their water supplies. They got to put in RO units, the only way.
That's why
There's a whole bunch. I'm sorry?
That's why in war they would salt the earth, is in order to ruin it.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah?
With an RO unit?
RO unit? RO unit, reverse osmosis. Think of a think of a piece of cellophane that has got microscopic pores that you can't even see when you look at the cellophane, but it's enough that the water molecule can get through, but the salt ions cannot. Okay? And what you get is you get, I think I got this right, like 25% of the water goes through and it leaves a brine left behind. They have to flush that out. So you gotta, when you have an RO unit, sure you get clean water, but then you still got this dirty or salty water that built up because you pushed the other water through, kind of. So you have to get rid of that. So if you put it in your septic system, then the bugs don't like the salt in the septic system any better. So if you have an RO, if you have a reverse osmosis plant like they were planning to put in Rockland County, the idea was, okay, we'll take it out of the Hudson River, we'll run it through the RO plant, get some nice water, kick the brine back into the Hudson River. They do it in Tampa, but they got the whole Gulf of Mexico to work. Yes, ma'am.
In Lake George, they're doing a lot of work on all the little streams that run into the lake, because the lake is used as a reservoir. Everybody drinks the water. Where apparently all the little streams, they try to flatten it out and make a small ledge of where it sits on the surface for a little while before it runs into the lake.
And recommence.
And they're adding all kinds of plants to it that are supposed to take out some of the salt and other.
Sure, makes sense. Well, it takes it out and just traps it.
Yeah.
It doesn't destroy it.
I didn't know if they found
But you got
plants
you
or
make a very good
animals
point.
or something.
They're protecting their cash register.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? New York City. Who's heard of the New York City watershed? Come on, you guys. Okay, yeah. Okay, New York City watershed, they're pumping hundreds of millions into the watershed. They fixed every septic system. They bought up everything that was polluting and fixed it, because the alternative would be to spend billions to build a filtration plant near Westchester Medical Center. Think about it. New York City does not filter their water. They chlorinate the heck out of the water. And Kensico Reservoir, alum is, like Bugs Bunny, put it on your lip. Okay. Alum precipitates out sediments. Aluminum has got 3 electrons. Oh, it's minus 3 valences, right? So it grabs a whole bunch of clay particles that are negative charges and drops them to the bottom. And periodically, they'll let a contract for somebody to dredge Kensico to get the alum sludge out of the bottom. But that's their water treatment, plus a whole bunch of chlorine. So you go in there and you get sick. It may be the food vendor, it may be the water. Okay. Anyway, but New York City does have really good tasting water. Let me get you second. Let me get this guy first.
When you talk about using plants as a filtration system, when you talk about anthropogenic chemicals, isn't there problems with bioaccumulation and then biomagnification?
Yeah, so you wouldn't use the plants for anything else other than that, and then you just burn them or something.
And then you said some more solutions. I don't think I caught them on how to rid the anthropogenic chemicals from the groundwater, but could you repeat those, and then on your model, like where would they be placed? Like where would you enact it?
You wouldn't do it in the ground. You would have to do it in the water treatment plant.
Okay.
And you'd have to basically oxidize it. Okay? If I was gonna, let's do a pollution plume, okay? What color would you like? Green? So let's do this number 2 here. We'll go down into that other aquifer. Oops. See the green? Right there? Okay, say that is TCE, or pick an alphabet, right? Dimethyl meatloaf. And the only way you can treat it the best way to treat it is with bacteria and oxygen. So they'll pump a whole bunch of anaerobic bacteria on there and a whole bunch of peroxide that turns into O2 to feed the bacteria while they eat the 9-methyl meatloaf. Okay, look at it going. Oh, so much for that. It was traveling, right? Look, some of them. Okay, see, look at, how quick was that? One answered one question, look at there. Now watch, you can't see it too well, but because of this confining layer here, so this layer, all this water up here is pushing down, right? Water goes from high pressure to low pressure. Low pressure over there, so who's got water out of the spring filled a jug up? Along 208 in Blooming Grove or over in Deer Park. Anyway, same thing. This is coming down, it's going up here. There's a spring right there. And it's going into my river. See the green? Right there. So it moved. But if I was a groundwater geologist and my job was to remediate pollution, of course I wouldn't have to worry that it only takes 30 seconds for the pollution to move, right? But I would drill a whole bunch of wells, figure out which direction it's going, what the gradient is, how fast it's going, how fast it's going to take to get to my river, and what can I do, what is it? Dimethyl meatloaf is one treatment plan, TCE is another treatment plan, motor oil is another treatment plan. They have things called DNAPLs, which are dense, non-aqueous, like TCE, phase liquids. Okay, they get into a aquifer. This stuff stayed pretty close to the top. A DNAPL, because it's dense, will go to the bottom of the aquifer. Then there's LNAPLs, like alcohol, that'll float. But they get down in the well and they'll float along the top. So the geologist's got to know what he's dealing with, where it's going to be. I've heard of things as simple as they make a ditch. There's a plume coming. Plume. They dig a ditch and they fill it with wood chips. And they put a weight on it because they float. But the water goes through the wood chips, and that particular pollutant, it was at an Air Force base, Moffett Air Force Base. The wood chips and that chemical love each other, and the wood chips grab it. Periodically, they go and clean out that ditch and put a new set of wood chips in and keep doing it. But other times, you need some really sophisticated stuff. Yes, ma'am?
Well, for those of us that are not sophisticated in our homes, are there any purifiers that take care of the TOC, the whole tamale?
Charcoal being a good bet, activated charcoal. I don't mean a Brita. I mean one that's like in a canister, the water's got to go through it.
Even the Brita that's on the faucet, that's
No,
not
it's
good enough.
just, it's not enough residence time. I mean, you need fairly big one. You get the water a chance to, get the carbon a chance to grab the stuff out of the water.
Can you name names like brands to look for?
PUR, pure.
Yeah, pure.
Go to Home Depot. What can I say? You know, you go to your Culligan man, he give you a Okay, you and then you, okay?
Go to Home Depot.
Yes, ma'am.
If one wants to have water tested, right, the water coming out of the faucet, you know, in your kitchen, what's a good lab to use?
The closest one to here is called EnviroTest. They're right here in the Newburgh area. EnviroTest.
EnviroTest. Is there a second option?
There's one right near where 17K bumps into Route 17. It's called the OCL.
OCL or
It used to be called the Orange County Dairy Lab. Now it's just OCL.
Do they have because there's a standard test for wells, you know, right? Is there something that you can get more specialized to see, you know, a little bit more detail?
If a community is, oops. Okay. If a community is going to put a well into service, they have to do what's called a Part 5, and it's got a zillion
Okay,
chemicals.
but individual wells, like
Individual wells, you know, you want to do bacteria is the main thing that'll make you sick, and then then they'll do stuff like hardness and manganese and iron and,
That's a,
okay. Yes, sir.
I really appreciate your take on some reports about hydrogeologists in Brooklyn. You were mentioning water dimensions in New York City, and it turns out some people were worried about why their manhole covers seem to be driven upwards with sufficient force that they thought it was some sort of terrorist explosion going on. And I really appreciate your thoughts about this. These hydrogeologists went back to maps of Brooklyn from the 16th century indicating all sorts of little tributaries, little streams, little pockets of water, and so forth that have over the centuries been buried over, covered over one way or another. And the question now arises, would the cause of public health and safety be better served by rediscovering them, opening some of them up, and using them for recreational purposes, and also to ensure that these kinds of disasters don't happen, because some people have gotten absolutely terrified over being close to these events. What do you think?
Okay. Well, I'm not surprised, but that's the first I ever heard of it. But anyway, Toby tells me I have to end soon because I'm really having too good a time. But I wanted to say one thing. Who has a Chase credit card? Anybody? Pull it out. Nothing up the sleeve. Okay, you can see the Chase. See the symbol? Is there on there? It looks like a box, right? Got some cut off the corners. Who knows who Alexander Hamilton is? Okay, Broadway star, right? Alexander Hamilton wanted to start a bank. Alexander Hamilton didn't have the right friends. They wouldn't let him start a bank in New York. So he started a water company. And that symbol is a pipe. Okay? And old Alexander, if you read, there's a book called Forever. Who's it by? It was on the reading list a couple years ago. Anyway, it was by one of the big columnists in the Daily News. Anyway, the crux of the book is that this guy saves his shaman's life, and the shaman says, as long as you stay on Manhattan, you'll live forever. Well, so it tells the story of New York through this guy's eyes. And he was there when Hamilton had his bank and his water company, but 90% of the money went to the bank and only 10% went to the water company, so the water sucked. Okay? Excuse my French. Anyway, but that's just a little side note on little water trivia. Okay, I don't see any more hands. I see another hand, then I'll quit. Okay, Toby?
Just on the thing about TOC, the total organic carbon, that is to a certain extent an artificial thing. It is a measure of the carbon. So when you talk about TOC, you're not talking about a particular kind of thing. It's just all kinds of carbon from organic things. And so I just wanted to clear that up, because the way you were talking about it made it sound much more specific. And so you have to determine how high that level is in order to know how much to worry about.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Number one, if you want to stay and chat around, with your neighbors, or perhaps you just stay a few more minutes, that's fine. Some of us have to leave. And if you're not on the email list,